How y'all doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. I'm actually outstanding, to be honest with you. So, ready to get going, man. Talk to you guys a little bit. See what we got. Let's do it. The fact that everything that was done was intentional, and the way the whole process, and I'm just talking about everything from after the season to now, like how everything that when you plan it and you start to see it come together. Listen, we're still a long ways away, but the process of what I want to do, what me and Mooj want to do, coaching staff, players, like that whole process, like you can see it, and I guess that's why I'm outstanding.
How much closer are you to where you want to be, what your vision was the day you were hired?
Listen, we're still a long ways away. I mean, obviously, when you finish a season 3-14, and you go into this year and you feel good about some of the things that you've done, you want to see how all those things come together. From like OTAs and training camp and going to the season. So that's a hard question to answer, really. But I do know this: everything that we want to do as an organization, you're starting to see it, start to come together. And again, we still have a long ways to go, but I do like the direction that we're going right now.
So, why Geno?
Say it again.
Why Geno?
It's something about a quarterback, and I'm gonna say a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder. And listen, he's proven a lot in this league of what he's done, especially when you take those times when he was in Seattle. Listen, he fits exactly what we're trying to do. So obviously we've created an identity. The foundation of our offense is pretty good now. When you look at the offensive line, I mean, obviously we end up signing Parham to be our left guard. You look at our backs that we have. You look at the tight ends that we have. The receiver room, I like our receiver room. And Garrett's coming back. I think he's the perfect guy to fit exactly what we want to do, especially if we can run the ball the way that we can run it, now be able to add some play action. I think he's perfect for that.
How much, with Geno, considering he had some struggles last year, obviously, how much consideration was given to maybe bringing in competition for him?
You always want to bring in competition, and that's going to happen organically. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like he's the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land. He's the guy that's going to touch the ball more than anybody else on offense. And listen, I know he had his struggles, and I think a lot of quarterbacks, they have their struggles. If you look at over the last 5 years, the guy that's thrown the most interception. I mean, the top guys are up there, So, but I do know this. He understands exactly what happened last year, and I don't want to get too far into that because I wasn't there obviously with the Raiders, but I do know that, man, there's some things that he knows that he can correct, and he's at fault on some of those, but there's some things that he knows that he's going to get better at, and I look forward to him doing that.
Obviously, you added a lot of veterans, especially to your defense, like Mario Davis. How can that help you, especially with all the changes that you have coming in?
I think you guys really can really see exactly what we were trying to do when it came to that. I think we're the second youngest team in the league last year. And to be able to have an influx of these veteran guys, to be able to teach these guys exactly how does the locker room need to operate, how do you finish out games. And I'm saying that is because guys like DeMario, who I've been with, guys like David Onyemata, who I've been with, guys like Minka, we already know what he can do in this league. When you start to add guys like that, man, I think it only helps what you're trying to create when it comes to a team. So all those guys that we add in free agency brings a certain level of adult, to our team that we need. So I'm excited about that.
So it's kind of a bigger picture question, but reflecting on your time in Detroit a little bit. So you look at the situation there where Dan Campbell lose so many different people. Now you're in a position where you're a head coach, navigating change. How tough, you haven't got to that position where the team has been good at all like that, but just how is it to navigate change and then still try to continue to be a contender at the same time? And do you feel like Detroit's still a contender?
Okay, I want to make sure I understand the question when you're saying that they've lost so many.
Yeah, like when you lose 7, 8 coaches, staff members,
you're
trying to come and still kind of trying to navigate being a contender. How difficult, now that you're being a head coach, do you think that is to still work to be a contender?
No, I understand. And it's a really good problem to have because usually when you're losing coaches like that means you're doing well. you know. So, but you have to have a vision of what you want within your coaching staff, and once you see that and understand that, and then you start to seek out like guys that can replace those guys that left. But the thing that I think the most important thing is now you have a true vision of what you want to bring in your staff to make sure everybody clicks. And listen, I know Dan's going to do a hell of a job doing that. But again, it's a nice problem to have when you are losing coaches. That tells you that you're winning games.
What do you guys, a year ago, you were talking to us about Justin Fields. You guys obviously invest a lot of money in him. Like, how do you reflect back on that experience and how much you can learn from that as a coach in terms of like how you approach
that was a situation that it just didn't work out. You know, I can't sit here and say, listen, I regret, you know, because I think Justin's a really good player. And I said, I put the fault on me. I didn't do enough to put him in a position to be successful. And I'm always going to say that. You know, that's my job as the head coach. So I think he's going to do well in Kansas City. I really do, because he's a good person for one, and he's a good player. I think Andy Reid's going to do a good job with him. You know, and those are some things that I've learned of making sure, man, how do I identify what every player can do and make sure they do a good job?
There's been a lot of chatter about incorporating 3-4 elements.
Yep.
Into, could you, just for the sake of clarity, what's the defense going to be?
And you do hear that a lot. And I'm going to say this, we will be a multiple defense. So there will be elements of 4-3. There will be elements of 3-4. And I think sometimes it's overblown. When you look at it, you're in nickel like 70% of the time. So you're in a 4-down spacing for the most part. So once you go to base defense, man, there's a number of things that you can do. I love front variations. So you will see some 4-down fronts, you will see some 5-down fronts, and you will see a lot of movement within that. So I don't want to sit here and say exactly who we're going to be, because we're going to be a little bit of everything, to be honest with you. But it'll be easy for all players to be able to go out there and compete.
AG, after your self-reflection,
yep.
What can you give us an idea of what you want to do differently in year 2, and you kind of stay true to yourself, but what you want to change?
Yeah, and to answer that, like, all self-reflection was not on the negative part, to be honest with you. It's just looking at some things that, like, for practice, for example, like, there's some things I want to do different when it comes to practice. I want to be able to maximize our reps as much as I can, and also make sure there's recovery for the players. There are certain ways that I want to go about game management. You know, with Burke, there's certain things that we want to push forward, especially now since I'm calling the defense.
Yeah.
And there's some things like offensively that I want to make sure we take advantage of, and that's one of the reasons why Frank was high on the list. You know, to be able to understand exactly how is he's going to create these matchups that we want to create. There's things about messaging with the players that I want to improve on to make sure there's clarity on what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. So there's a number of things, and those are a couple of examples that I sit back and I look, and I think every year you want to improve on those things.
So to piggyback off of that, I actually asked Dan Campbell about you, and he said the biggest advice he gives to you is just to trust your process.
Yeah.
Obviously, you made a lot of coaching changes. So how do you manage that, trusting your process, but knowing you needed to make those changes?
That's a really good question, and that's something that that will be a foundation of how we operate. Is everything that we do, and this is another evaluation part. Everything that we do, like, there will be a process behind it. And when I say that, to me, a process, you have a vision that you see. This vision is this way, all right? And if you're trusting your process, man, you're detailed on every little step before you get there, because you can't get to that vision without being detailed and not missing these steps. And I want to make sure that everything that we do that. Now, the timing of it might be different for some people, and that's just what it is, you know, because I don't want to miss any steps. I don't want to make any mistakes when it comes to that. Obviously, mistakes can happen, but I don't want to sit here and make mistakes because I didn't go through that process. So everything that we do will be process-oriented.
Circling back to Geno, Aaron, you can probably say it's about a lot of quarterbacks, but he seems like a very different player when he's protected. He has a clean pocket. And again, I know every quarterback, but he really is a different guy when he's able to sit back there.
You're right.
You guys have built a pretty decent line.
Yeah.
And so was that also a factor involved there that you think you can keep him upright, which will be able to maximize what he does?
I'm glad you said that, because you're absolutely right. When it comes to Geno being successful, is like, how do you protect the quarterbacks? You allow him to be able to do that. And we do have a good line. We do. And we're steady bringing guys in that can help in that aspect unless somebody goes down. So, listen, I look forward to seeing him operate behind that line. I really do, because I think he's going to create some damage because of the arm talent. And, man, he's grown so much as far as his smarts, as far as IDs, as far as protection and things like that. And I knew that playing against him, when he was in Seattle, because you watch him and you see that, man, he's controlling everything. And that was the one thing that really stuck out. And I played, I thought they were in our division. Detroit, we played them damn every year. But to see how he operates, man, it was good to see. Is
there something to be said about a guy like him who's unafraid to make mistakes?
Say it again.
A guy who's unafraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
He's going to take shots down the field, even if there's a chance he might get picked off. I know you want the balance of
Now, and I said this last year with Justin is we want to be aggressive, we don't want to be reckless. Now, I think the one thing that Geno does a really good job, he gives his guys an opportunity. And sometimes you got guys like Garrett, he can be covered, but he's not covered, because of the way he can contort his body and go up and catch the ball. So I think he understands that very well. I think he's going to allow our guys to be able to do that. Him, AD, Mason, all those guys. I mean, those guys can be covered, but, man, let's put the ball where, the defender can't defend it. I think he can do a good job with that.
If you could put up...
You talked about him having a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Right? That's something people have said about you a lot.
Yeah.
Does Chip recognize Chip?
I think there's a synergy that draws us together, when you have something like that. And it's nothing better in this league than having players that has an edge. And I don't want to sit here and say that because they're trying to prove something. It's more or less they're trying to prove themselves right of who they think they are or who we think we are. And, man, it's just a mentality. And this league is really about mindset for the most part. And we can get that mindset with everybody on this team. There's good things to come.
When you're having internal discussions on whether to bring Geno in, how much does his history with the Jets? It was turbulent. It was rocky. The fans have long memories. They remember he had some rough moments.
Yeah, those things. Listen, those things are you always weigh. And to me, at the end of the day, I didn't think there would be a detriment, to us as an organization, to the fans. Obviously, there's some fans that probably didn't like it, and I understand. But I know there's some fans that did like it. So listen, he has a fresh start. And I look forward to the way he's going to operate. I do, because he really, really wants this. And just going through the process of getting the quarterback, that was something that stood out, too, about him. He wants to be here. And when you have guys that really want to be here, want to be Jets, that only makes it better.
With Geno, I think a lot of people in the public, the thought is you look at him, it's a stopgap. It's 1 year, then you guys get your quarterback in 2027.
Yeah.
But do you view this as the potential for a multi-year partnership? Because we've seen around the league that quarterbacks aren't retiring early. They're playing much longer into their careers.
Well, I don't think that's a question for me to really answer, because, listen, he can go out there and throw for 4,000 yards and have 30 touchdowns and no interceptions. And and you think we just going to let him go,
Yeah.
So I think that just goes by year. And, listen, he's I do know this. He's excited about being here. And, listen, he's going to be our quarterback, and I look forward to that. I mean, obviously, you continue to try to build your organization or your team with good players, and we're going to continue to do that.
Since Connor brought it up, there's a lot of chatter and narrative now to the Jets try to get their quarterback for the future in this year's draft with a Ty Simpson, or do you wait till next year when there's supposedly a bunch of them as the head coach? How do you balance that? What's your feeling on that also?
My feeling is, man, you always want to build your roster with good players, and whatever position that is. I mean, obviously the quarterback is a top position on your team, and if we feel like he's the best player on the board, then that's what we do. That's what we draft. The thing is, we're not trying to reach and grab for guys. We're trying to just draft guys that's the best player available.
Yeah, obviously we saw you and Bucci doing the pro day tours as well. When you were a scout, what was some of the first things you looked at when you were evaluating players, and how can that help you and throughout this process?
Let me talk about exactly that whole trip that we had, that week-long trip. Now that was something that we did in New Orleans for my 6 years there, and I thought it was outstanding. And the reason why is you really get a chance to sit with the player and really get a chance to understand the character of the player. I mean, obviously you're not going to get everything, but to be able to go to dinner with those guys, to be able to sit and put them through classwork, man, you really get a chance to know the player really, really well. So I really love that process. And that's something I know for a fact that we'll continue to do, you know. So going through this whole process and really trying to get a chance to know the players, man, it's critical because you want to know exactly who you're bringing in that locker room because that's a sacred place. And most players will tell you that, especially the veteran players. And I want to make sure I do right by them. Every player that we bring on this team, I want to make sure they fit exactly what we're trying to do.
How do you balance that, like with the production on the field versus also the character of the
Say it
player?
again?
The balance, like the character of the player, and also what you see on the field.
Well, obviously you want guys that are going to produce. I mean, that's part of the business. And to me, I think the easiest thing to look at or look for is talent. You know, the hardest thing is who the player really is. I'm a firm believer that your character is going to show up on the field at some point. You know, so you want to make sure you try to identify that as much as possible. The talent, I mean, it is what it is. You're a 4'3" guy, you're a 4'5", I mean, you're 6'5", 250. Like, all that stuff is easy. And the production part is easy too. You know, now it's can the player be coachable enough to improve on what he's doing? And a lot of that has to do with your football character.
When you sat down to formulate your plan defensively, obviously you want to add leadership. That's clear with Mario, Mika, and Yamada. How much also are you thinking we need guys that are going to take the ball away after what you endured last year? Because obviously Mika's done that a lot in his career.
Absolutely.
Wright had a great season last year.
Well, listen, I've just like you guys saw it, I saw it too, and it doesn't feel good, you know. But man, obviously you see that we got a guy like Minka, we got a guy like DeMario that can affect the pass and affect the ball. We brought in Nashon, you know, a guy that led the league in picks. I mean, that was obviously something that we had to get better at. And the only way you can get better at things like that is go get guys that can do it, you know. So those guys have done it at a high level. So I look forward to them doing it again.
Aaron, what's it like for you going into year two but having an entirely new coaching staff?
And I answered that question earlier, and it's part of the business. And the coaches that I wanted to bring, it was intentional. And obviously when I let go Steve Wilkes during the season, man, it was going to be an opportunity for me to actually like reevaluate what we want to do on defense, how we want to do it, the right guys end up fitting what we're trying to do. And that's what we did. And knowing that I was going to be the play caller, I want to make sure that I brought somebody as a coordinator that knows exactly what I'm trying to do. You know, and I want those guys to be a part of it too, him and Frank, you know, Duker and Frank to be a part of building this. But I want to make sure there was synergy between myself and every coach that was on that we have.
I want to ask you, sorry, and then I'm out of here. You're a talker.
Yep.
I don't know, he didn't play much for you last year. Did you get to know him much? And
Yeah.
what do you make of him going to division?
Man, outstanding player, obviously. I thought he was having an outstanding camp. Actually, as we went through our grades, man, he was actually grading out each practice as the highest player on the whole line was. And you hate to see it for a player of his caliber because he's such a good player, and it seems like something just happens every year, you know, with him. So hopefully he will go to. Listen, I'm rooting for him. I really am. He's a damn good player.
What has it been like having Frank in the building, just having someone,
Yeah.
you know, you obviously know him a long time, but he comes in with so much experience, he's building
Yeah.
the offense out.
It's been outstanding. Obviously, so just you guys understand exactly how the process has been going overall. Is man, I'm installing with the defense, and we're moving, you know. And the good thing is Duke knows the defense very well, so that process has been going outstanding. And then I can step out and let Duke continue to install with the coaches, and then I'm in there with the offense and just listen to how Frank wants to do things. And the input that he's getting, you know, from the other guys has been outstanding. And we have some really innovative young guys that's on that offensive staff. That's like I can see these guys being like coordinators and possible head coach. I'll tell you what, Seth Ryan, just keep your eye on him. I'm just telling you that right now. He's going to be a hell of a coach, and the ideas that he brings. And here's another thing. So here. Like we're talking about AI quite a bit in our meetings, and these young guys, like we got two young guys, Merkel from Stanford, and these guys are like on top of that, and those guys are teaching us how to utilize like all of that stuff, and it's been outstanding. So, man, we're trying to take that next step, you know, us as coaches.
How are you guys utilizing
man, just when information putting in and just like I'm still trying to figure it out, But I would say this, yeah, we all are. But man, it's been good. I would tell you that. And sometimes it's shocking to see like the information. Now, it's not the only thing that you do, but to be able to see the information that you can get, it's been.
You're not plugging in like what play should I call?
No. I'm trusting myself on that. But just inputting information into the system and being able to move efficiently and faster has been really good for us.
AG, this time of year, there's a lot of discussion with the draft of positional value. You can't take a running back here. You can't take a safety here, right?
Yeah.
2023 with the Lions.
I know what you're going to ask.
You guys take Gibbs and you take Campbell.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, Wade the next day. You guys got hammered on that, and that's really worked out very well in Detroit.
And they're 2 All-Pros.
Right. I imagine you had opinions before that, but did that teach you anything, that experience of going through that draft? And where's your feeling on that?
Yeah, I've learned this really with Sean Payton. Man, you got to shut the outside noise. And who do you love? If you love the player, go get the player. And I truly believe in that. If you love the player, go get it, regardless of what everybody's saying, regardless of positional value. If you love the player, go and get him. And obviously, me and Dan was together in New Orleans all those years,
right.
And that never left us. And I'm not changing that either. And that's something that me and Moose talk about a lot, and we utilize that. If we love the player, man, we're going to get him.
So Caleb Downs at 2, then, right?
If we love the player, we're going to get him. We're still in the process of evaluating all this stuff. That's okay.
But if you could put your old Scouts hat on for a second.
Yep.
Like when you have a guy like Arvell Reese, who didn't have much on paper, did not have crazy numbers, but yet everyone says he's just such a athletic freak. It has all the measurables and that sort of like. As a scout / coach, how do you look at something like that?
I think you hit it on the head. The first thing is, man, the traits, arm length, weight, speed, ankle flexion, like all those things that you're trying to look at, and then like the coach that can actually coach him to get to that next level. And then does he have the football character to allow himself to be able to be coached, to be able to do those things? Like all those things, like has to be evaluated when you're looking at a guy like that. Listen, who was it? I think it was Daniil Hunter. His stats wasn't up there, but he had all the traits. And then you had a coach that can coach him to be where he's at right now. So I look at it the same way. Man, it's a combination of the traits and it's a combination of the football character. Again, is that player coachable enough to be able to do the things that you want him to do to be successful?
AG Reese, obviously, you guys tagged him.
Yep.
He's going to be going through the business end of football here for a little while. Did you have any conversations with him after tagging? Because I'm not sure he's going to come to the spring program. A lot of times guys who get tagged don't show up. Did you talk to him at all about how to navigate this
we talked about it beforehand.
Okay.
And listen, and you guys know, man, I'm a huge fan of Brees. I think Brees is a top running back in this league. And I will say this, once we get through with the draft, I'm sure that's going to be revisited. I think Mooj already said that.
Yeah.
We'll say exactly how they go. And Brees knows where I stand, and he doesn't need a lecture from me on how this goes. Man, we talked with X and me. We talked before he got tagged, and he knows exactly where he stands with me. So.
And when you go to these pro days and you look at quarterbacks in particular,
yep.
Do you find yourself looking at them as a defender, as a defensive mind? Saying, how am I going to stop this guy? Or do you see him as what can an offense do with him?
Like that's a good question because I do. I look at it from like different angles. And one, if I'm a defensive player, like how would I defend him? What are the issues that we feel like he'll have? And then we try to put him through drills. So for example, we had one of our coaches, when one of the quarterbacks dropped back, man, I want to attack him and see how he can maneuver in the pocket to be able to get himself free to be able to deliver the ball. So those are some things that defensively I want to see him do that. offensively, just all the little small details of the drop, 3-step, 5-step, under center, play action, ball handling, like all those things that you want to look at as an offensive coach now to see if he fits what we're trying to do. So you're right, I look at it from both angles.
What did you guys like about Osai and Kingsley, and how do you envision those guys fitting in?
Okay, Kingsley, 6'5", 270. When you look at the defenses I've been on from New Orleans to Detroit to now, man, he fits exactly, and I call him a rush, which is really a defensive end. From Cam Jordan to Hutch, like, he fits that mold of that type. Now, totally different players, but as far as what we're trying to build to make sure that we have a guy on the edge that can really set it and they be able to rush with power. All right, so he was one of them. Outside, he can do a lot of different things. He can play the rush. He can play the Sam. He can drop into coverage. He's played special teams quite a bit. He's disruptive. I mean, he had like 5 or 6 sacks, like I think the last 2 years. So we can utilize him in a number of different spots. And I think that's the best thing about where we're at right now. So we have a number of guys that we can maneuver and move around to be able to do some things. I mean, Will right now, I can't wait to see what the things that we're going to do with Will. You guys can't wait to see what we're going to do with Will. So it's exciting right now to have those guys. And we have like that many weapons on defense to be able to do some things.
KG, what's it been like to see the way Muji operates? Like, you guys obviously work together. I know he's made a lot of the trades where in between the margins, not trading much for these young players. I'm just curious what it's been like working with him.
You know what? I think the best thing in you hear this quite a bit on head coach and GM relationship is the way that we communicate, and it's like we really communicate at a high level, and it's on every little thing that we do, and that's the type of relationship I wanted with a GM, to where when it comes to things in his department, like he would ask me questions, how do I feel? When it comes to things in the coaching department, like I'm asking questions, how does he feel? And I think you want to do that because I think it brings you closer, as because we're in this thing together. And listen, we're in lockstep with everything that we do. And then when he goes about executing the plan on things, there's certain things that he has to do that's just out of my wheelhouse. And when he goes to execute, man, he does a really good job of executing the plan of the vision that we have, what we're trying to build. And that's like, I love every part of that. I do. Even like on this trip we just went on. I mean, we even got closer on this trip, and like I'm looking forward to continue to doing that with him.
I don't know if we've ever asked you this. What about Darren did you want? Like what made you want to work with him?
I don't think
he wasn't like super well known when we started.
Yeah. So when I was going through the interview process, this was 22 or 23. He was in Denver at that time, and I was interviewing for the Denver job. And man, I can recall him sitting at the end of the table, and they asked me to do my first speech with the team, and he was coordinating that. And man, off the top of my head, I just went through a speech, and he was just like, "I love it, I love it." So it just seemed like it was a connection right then. And to me, it was like, okay, well, he knows where I'm coming from. He knows, like, we see it the same way when it comes to the messaging to the team and things like that. So, and when we had a chance to sit and talk, man, how he saw a team was exactly how I saw it.
You just spent a week with him, basically. Like,
say it again.
You just spent a week together, flying around the country.
Well, that's like I said, that's even
but like
better.
I'm wondering, like, when you guys are together for that long a period of time, is it all ball talk? Or do you guys have any fun?
No,
or do stuff outside?
We do stuff outside of it. I mean, when we were on the plane, his foot hit my foot. I'm like, whoa. So that was the argument we got into. But no, man, it's we get away from football, and we just talk about wife, kids, things like that. Which again, it makes the relationship even better when you can get away from things that we know that's important and really talk about other things that are important too. So,
you guys were so good on special teams last year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were surprised to see Nick both leave
Yeah.
in free agency. Are you concerned about the kicker position right now?
Listen, that's a position that you're always concerned about because of the nature of how this game is. I mean, a lot of these games, 3 points or less as far as so. I mean, we really have to go through that process and make sure that we find the right guy for us. Yes, it's always hard, losing a guy like that. But here, I have the ultimate trust in Banjo and Coach O'Day to get the right. I mean, they are outstanding doing their job and find the right guys for us. And they exhaust every option to make sure we find the right guy. And I have total trust in those guys being able to do that.
You've been around this game a long time.
Yep.
And it's basically a bottom line business.
Yeah.
So coming off 3 wins, personally, how much pressure do you feel to show progress this year?
I might be different than a lot of coaches when that question is asked because you hear the narrative. I'm not worried about my job, and I'm not. But I always put pressure on myself. I've always done it as a player, so that's just who I am. To me, it's a pressure-packed business. As a corner, it's pressure. As a head coach, it's pressure. So it's always pressure. That never goes away. Now, when it comes to the record and all that, I got it. But listen, I'm going to put pressure on myself every game, every year. It doesn't matter. I don't care if we went to the Super Bowl. There's always pressure because now you have to try to repeat that. So I look at it that way. I don't look at it from anything other than that. It's a pressure-packed business, and listen, you got to win. That's what it's about.
You've used safeties in a lot of different ways over the years.
Say it again?
You've used safeties in a lot of different ways over the years.
Yeah.
In terms of Mika specifically,
Yeah.
how much is versatility going to be a plus? And then how much can his influence help that fullback?
I mean, it's the reason why he's here, because of his influence. And I told him my definition of leadership is really influence, and that's what he brings to the table. You can go back to New Orleans when Marcus Williams, the things that he's done, then going to Detroit with Kirby and BB, the things that he's done, man, he knows that, and he sees that within the defense that we're going to run, and he's excited about that. So being able to use him at nickel, being able to use him at safety, being able to use him at dime, those are a number of different spots you can put him in and watch him be successful. And then it's hard to ID him when you're able to do that as an offense.
How do you feel about your wide receiver room? And you have Garrett, obviously, and A.D. Mitchell showed you some stuff last year, but
yeah, and so you hear Garrett all the time, and you should, because he is a true number one receiver. But man, I look forward to seeing what AD is going to do. Going through OTAs, going through the workout program, understand exactly how we go about doing things. I think it takes that summertime to be able to bond with your teammates and then get into the season. I know we just got him during the season, but to be able to see him go through the whole process with our guys, I really look forward to that. And then Isaiah, I mean, obviously he's our punt returner, kick returner also, but seeing him in the slot and being able to do some things. So I like the way our receiver room is. I mean, obviously you're always going to try to get players that's going to help your team. So, but I look forward to seeing those guys work together.
Is there a player that maybe is flying under our radar, but that you expect this year to take a nice leap that might surprise some people?
I don't think he's flying under the radar, but I'm really looking forward to what Mason does this year.
Mason Taylor.
Yeah, I think Mason's going to have a hell of a year. I really do. Because there are some things that we talked about. There's something I talked to his dad about, when we were in Miami working those guys out, that you're going to see him take another step. So I'm excited about that player. I'm excited about our tackles, our bookend tackles, seeing those guys, the way they're going to operate. Obviously, I'm excited about all the guys we got in free agency, see how those guys. But if you would ask me for one person, like Mason, that's a guy. I think he's going to take another step.
With some of these trades,
What makes you say that?
Well, our conversation at the end of the year, exit interviews, that was one of the realest conversations that I've had for a rookie too. And just like I tell you, I evaluate myself, and he hear that. You know, he said, Coach, just like you said, I'm evaluating myself too. Here's some things I know I have to work on, and here's some things you need to hold me accountable for, which you know I will, so I can make sure I take the next step. And again, that was a real conversation, and he was very adamant about what the things that he wanted to get better at. So again, another player with a chip on his shoulder, you know, and I feel like he understands what he got to get better at and how he's going to go about doing it.
Another Muji question, but
yep.
I feel like a lot of general managers in the league, everyone covers their draft picks, but like it's like, don't trade the pick, don't trade the pick. It's because of the unknown instead of using them to acquire players that aren't known. It seems like Darren is a bit more open to the idea of like the 6. Why don't we? Yeah, it's a lottery ticket in a way, but why don't we go get the player that we know exactly what he can be and that can help our team now? Is that like a breath of fresh air? I don't feel like that's a sentiment shared by many around the league.
Yeah, I think I understand the question, and I think it goes back to what we were saying, what I was saying before, is, man, we love the player, let's go get him. If we love the player, let's go get him. And I think he does a really good job, number one, of me and him communicating on, like, how should we go about doing this. And I think he said this before, man, his phone, he's going to answer the phone, you know, which I love that, you know, because you never know. You never know. Man, the draft day is I love that day. I really do, because you just never know what's going to happen. You hear all these guys that's going to get drafted in these certain spots, and it's never that, you know. So to me, that's the exciting part of it, and I love every part of that. Hell, I was a part of that when I came out. Shoot, I thought I was going to be the 6th pick, and I wound up going 12. So that's how it happened.
Last one here, guys.
I'm going to make it a good one.
Come on. All right.
Here comes the heavy hitter.
You spoke.
You going to take his spot?
Yeah. You spoke when you got hired, you know, about unfinished business with the Jets.
Yeah.
The Denver game and your memories. That's big picture. I know you're focused on day to day, what you're doing, but how often do you reflect on, like, I want to end this playoff drought, I want to get this team to the mountaintop? How often does that come into your mind?
Every day. Every day. There's a couple of things I think about on a daily basis. Number one, I think about the players every day, and I think about, like, and I really, really think about this. Now, this is not just coach speak. Like, how do I utilize every player that we have on this roster to help us be successful? And then 2, what are the things that I have to do to make sure that, man, we get over that hump? Because I've been a part of it, and there's no better feeling in the world than, okay, so we were down trying for a number of years, and then we finally get over that hump, and now we're moving. But then again, so now how do we keep that sustainable for years to come? I want to leave a legacy. I do. You know, when I'm gone, man, I'm looking at this team being a team that consistently puts themselves in a place to win. But every day, you know, it's not a day, it's not an hour, it's not a minute. I don't think about that. And I look forward to trying to make that happen. I really do.